Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Cosmic Barbecue with me, Matt in the Real World, Mikey J. Shields, and Jim Dammit of Dinosaur Pileup. How you guys doing?
All good, man. How are you?
Very, very good.
Stoked. Yeah, pretty stoked on all things. What
Yeah.
did you guys want to chat about today? What do you want to chat about? Mike, you got a plan or something?
I was watching, sifting through some films and stuff on Netflix, and I came across a program that gave me an idea. And I'm going to just say one word, and you will instantly be transported into a hotel room or a motel room. Let's be real, it was a motel in America after a 2 a.m. get-in. We're in bed, maybe cracked open a beer because, you can't sleep after these long drives. And the one word is luminol.
Oh, shit, yeah. I haven't
You
thought
talking about
about it in ages.
You're talking about Forensic Files.
Fucking forensic files.
Forensic files.
Dude, that is a great show.
I had to give it up, after touring because it was just fucking me up.
Really?
Like, you get like super dark ones every now and again.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, it was kind of. I mean, obviously they're all dark. They're all about. Well, it's like if you don't know, Forensic Files is like a sort of what are they like mini documentaries about gruesome murders where they use forensic science to find the killer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like each time, so it's like a half an hour little like mini documentary, and
They're all
some of them are
mostly
easy
the same,
to watch.
though. They're all mostly the same, and they all use luminol.
Luminol.
Which is this spray which they put on a crime scene. Spray. They're always at a loose end. And then he's like, and then the detectives use luminol. And they spray the crime scene, and they put this black light on, and it shows up blood, basically, isn't it?
Like, yeah, even if it's been washed away. Like, if it's in the bath or the sink or whatever, you can still see it, apparently. Why don't they just use luminol first?
I know.
Straight off the bat.
At least we're stumped.
That guy's voice... Oh man, it's just I've never heard a voice like it. It's so addictive to listen to, that guy's voice.
Yeah. Didn't Black Map get him to record something for them?
I think they wanted
I
think they wanted him.
Something like that.
I
think he might have died, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder if luminol was involved.
So I guess what we're getting at is what we sort of watch or like entertainment to chill with on the road? Is that what
because it just made me think when I hear that fucking dude's voice, no matter how gruesome or whatever the subject matter is, it sends me straight off to sleep. And many a time have me and Jim just fucking, because we normally share on the road a hotel room or motel room, stick a bit of Forensic Files on and be out in minutes. And if it's not on, you can just lay there awake, fucking almost in PTSD from an 8-hour drive or 10-hour drive.
Yeah.
Let's face it though, it's always on.
It's always on. It's fucking great. HLN.
HLN, that's it, yeah.
You know what Forensic Files, you bringing Forensic Files up makes me think of?
What?
Makes me think of that time where we left Ollie. Oh my God! Instantly, stories are popping out all over the place. So anyway, I can't remember where we were, but we left Ollie, and he had to do that near-death experience drive over the mountaintop. We flew out. We had to fly down to South by Southwest or whatever for a random show, and then we flew back. We played the shows in South by in Austin, and then we grabbed a flight back to meet Ollie, and he'd done that treacherous drive where he pretty much almost died and sent his mum his coordinates in case they had to find his body.
He got stranded on the mountain, didn't he? Because the pass got closed or something because it was such heavy snowfall. But obviously he's driving with all of our gear, and he's like, I can't fucking stop. I've got to go to meet the boys for the next show.
Where were we? Okay, just to fill in,
we were going to
Burlington,
were we?
Yeah, Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah, but no, is that where we met him?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did we leave him? Where did he drive from?
That's a great question.
I think
'Cause it
didn't
was
he go?
somewhere-
He was traveling like west to east across like the very northern stretch of the States, wasn't he?
I don't
He's
think
gonna
it
be
was like
so-
as far as St. Louis, but it was maybe somewhere like that.
He's going to be so pissed that we
Oh.
don't know this.
Detroit
He's gonna be-
Was it
something?
Chicago?
Could have been. Anyway, to fill in the listeners real quick, we flew out to South by Southwest from a show, and Ollie had to take the van with all our gear to the next one because obviously we couldn't fly everything to South by. So we flew down to South by. Ollie set off on this journey, and the weather got so intense, so intense, that they shut the mountain pass that Ollie had to drive. But Ollie had to take the mountain pass because if he didn't, he had to go around the mountain and it'd take him like 2 days and he wouldn't make the show where we needed to meet him. So he had to go on the mountain pass. And the snow was so heavy, the wind, there was no visibility. It was like really gnarly, as it can get like in the States sometimes. And a tree had collapsed across the road, which I think he had to just drive over. He just rammed it and went over it, didn't he? Something mental.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm either going to have to stop and sleep on the mountain where I might freeze to death, or I'm just going to have to rev this bitch over the tree.
Yeah, and he did it. But he was so scared of obviously stopping. He was like, I will freeze to death. So I think before doing that, he texted his mum his GPS coordinates, just in case that's where they had to go and find him.
I mean, we're
Something
laughing now because we can, because he's fine. But at the time, I think it was the worst thing he'd ever been through.
Yeah, when we saw him on the other side, dude, it was like he had 1,000-yard stare. I don't think
he was
we
livid.
could comprehend. I don't think we could comprehend how close to the edge he'd been. And eventually he found somewhere to sleep. He needed to sleep. But all the hotels and motels were shut and stuff. And eventually he found a motel that was closed or something, but they let him in.
They were so surprised that he was there, right?
Yeah, they were so surprised that anyone was there. And obviously there was no food and there was no food, nothing was open, no one was delivering. So they had some leftover Chinese takeaway that they gave him. I think they gave him a place to sleep and some leftover Chinese takeaway to eat, just because they were like, what the hell? Like, how have you even made it this far? Anyway.
Took pity on him.
So getting back to the original story, why this makes me think of Forensic Files was when we met Ollie in Burlington, we flew directly into the show that night or that evening or whatever. And we met Ollie, we did the show, everyone was crushed, super exhausting. And eventually we drove to our motel, and this is when our own kind of Forensic Files episode started to unfold. Because it was dark, it's like really late and it's pitch black, and we're pulling up to this motel. And as we pull in, Mikey's sat up in the front in the shotgun seat, Ollie's driving. Then me and Jim and Ali are in the back. And as we pull up to the entrance of the motel, there's like a dude, like a big shadowy figure that's kind of walking
keep
towards
in mind,
us.
there's like 2 feet of snow. There's nobody around. There's maybe like 2 other cars parked in this car park, and it's really late. And this dude sees us and fucking beelines towards the van.
But yeah, and Mike's, you're right to emphasize how weird it was for someone to be outside, because it is it's freezing cold and there is so much snow. No one is around. And he starts to come towards us and we're like, shit, like maybe he's in trouble and maybe he needs help, or maybe his car's, maybe we need to jumpstart his car or something. I don't know. So we sort of roll up to him and we're like, let's see if he needs help, which was dumb. Or maybe it was dumb. I don't know. Mikey
we're just
rolls
nice
down
guys.
But there was something weird about it. We should have maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there was something weird about that situation, even from the start. And Mikey, we get to the dude, and Mikey rolls down his window. And this guy, he doesn't sort of like lean in, he leans right in through Mikey's window.
Like right in. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, like his head, his chest. He like leans right into the vehicle. And what does he open up with? He says, "Have you guys checked in
Doesn't he
yet?"
say like what floor? Like what floor are you on?
No, he's
what
like,
floor are you guys on?
He's like, yeah. And then we were like, oh, we haven't checked in yet. And he was like, yes, you have.
Yeah. So he asked us what floor we were on, and we said we haven't checked in yet. And then he drops the "yes, you have" line. Is that how it played? Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were like, nah, no, we haven't. It's like, yes, you
have. Oh my shit, dude!
I was Ollie, fucking drive.
Yeah, I mean, I leant forward from the back because I was like, this guy's face and torso is right in front of Mike. Like, if anyone's gonna die right now, it's Mike, because the guy's pretty much on top of Mike. I was like, oh my god, this guy's just gonna murder Mike.
I thought he might have had a fucking knife or something. And yeah, that's just the way he was so forceful. He was like, yes, you have. I was like, no, we haven't checked in. He's like, you're staying on the 3rd floor. I was like, what the fuck is this guy? What is this about?
So
I literally saw my life flash before my eyes because I was like, he's going to fucking kill me right now.
Yeah. Didn't we roll out the parking lot real quick?
Yeah, I was like, we can't.
And we went to get pizza.
I was like, we can't stay here. This is too fucked up. Ollie was like, there's no way we're going to get another fucking hotel. I've paid for this one now already. So we left the hotel car park. I was so fucking shook up because this fucking weirdo just watched us. And then we were like, let's just circle back round. Did we get food or something? I think we might have gone and got food.
We went to get pizza. And I think Ollie didn't Ollie call the hotel because he's like, we were just tried to check in and this fucking weird dude just sort of, made us so uncomfortable we had to leave.
We walked in, we were like, have you had any trouble tonight? And
that's it, yeah.
Yeah. And the woman on the desk was like, not really, just this one dude.
Yeah, do you mean the shadowy murderer? Like, yeah. Just a little bit of trouble. Yeah. That shadowy murderer guy, the really murdery type of dude. Yeah. He's hanging around. Yeah.
He was fine. Just had like a real murder vibe, you know?
Yeah, just a really murdery, stabby, killy vibe. Yeah, that guy. Also should be noted, what's the first thing the dinosaur pileup do when they're faced with a murderous near-death situation? Oh, just roll out and get some pizza.
Go for pizza.
Go and get some pizza, I guess. I tell you what, lads, let's go and get some pizza and then just drive back to the same hotel where the murderer was.
I was like, dude, I'm not staying in this fucking hotel. I literally thought this guy was going to murder me.
Well, I can remember when we got back to the reception. Obviously, we talked to the receptionist and she was super nonchalant about the murdery killer guy. We found what rooms we were on. Weren't we actually on the third floor?
We requested. We were like, please, whatever room we're in, please don't let it be on the 3rd floor.
Yeah. So I think we sort of swapped it or whatever to the 1st floor and then just bounced to our rooms immediately, trying to make sure that like this dude didn't see us when we were going in or whatever. I remember
we were like, he's got access through the fucking back window if he needs it now.
Oh, mate. Oh, my God. I remember that, yeah. And I remember all of us lying in the same room, like all of us just in one room, eating pizza, probably watching Forensic Files, I think, which was probably a terrible idea.
Winding ourselves up.
Yeah, man.
A story about a killer still on the loose in Burlington, Vermont. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Not even Luminol caught that guy.
Yeah. I used to watch, I remember like my sort of go-to chill out, like when I needed some, I don't know, just to kind of relax and like get out of the tour zone or whatever, I'd always just stick on Adventure Time. That was kind of my happy place because it's so...
Oh, man.
Yeah, because it's so like light and...
That's fucking feel good.
Yeah, mate, it's so great. So I like to try and sleep or whatever in the middle of a long tour, at the end of a long day or whatever, I'd always just stick on a couple of Adventure Time episodes. just to kind of chill.
It's quite dreamy anyway, isn't it? Like,
yeah. What's weird is a
Yeah.
lot of the episodes as well are 11 minutes, 11 seconds long, which I thought was quite weird.
Really?
Yeah, strange.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah. Didn't you guys watch Bob's Burger? I remember in the RV. In the RV when you guys would share the bed. Loads of times you guys would just fall asleep together watching Bob's Burgers, and I'd have to come to the back and switch it off. I'd
Holding
like,
hands.
I'd be like, I'd be like trying to get to sleep in the RV at the front. I could still hear some shit going on like hours later. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, who's still watching shit? It's like 2 a.m. I'd go back, it's just you two asleep, just with Bob's Burgers still playing, like lying next to each other. It was pretty cute.
Bob's Burgers for me is like adventure time for you.
Yeah.
Like if I can't sleep for any reason, like even now, like if I'm up in the middle of the night with Daisy and I can't get back to sleep, I'll put Bob's Burgers on my phone face down, and even just the sound of the episode will just send me straight off to sleep.
You fucking love that show.
I do. I mean, it's an amazing show, but it doesn't matter which one it is. It's something about the sort of delivery. I mean, the guy who plays Bob is what's his name? John Benjamin, who's Archer, who has like the creamiest voice.
Creamy?
Of, like anyone. Yeah, do you not think?
Damn.
I think of cream.
What, like a Baileys?
Ooh.
You are?
Like a Baileys?
Like a Baileys. He's like Baileys, yeah.
You ever drank Baileys from a shop?
I hope he's listening to this.
I'm old Greg.
I'm old Greg. Yeah. I mean, dude, I still watch Adventure Time. Like, that's still my happy place. I don't think that'll probably.
You've seen them all now, right?
Dude, I've watched the whole thing 5 times. I
never saw how it ended.
It's so good at the end. Like, Finn meets his father, and it's cool, man.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I've actually only seen the first series, so
I love that show so much.
Can you hear me being crushed?
I love it. Yeah.
BoJack's another great one. Fucking love BoJack.
Yeah.
Just to make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If any of you guys if any of the listeners haven't watched any of these shows, like, they're all really different, but you should check them out for sure. They're amazing.
All cartoons so far.
All cartoons,
apart from Forensic Files.
Yes.
Tell you what, when we were on the Havana tour, particularly, I think I mentioned this once in a previous episode, but like, I have real trouble with insomnia, or I used to, running up to kind of recording Celebrity Mansions in the 2 years hard touring before we recorded Celebrity Mansions. If I was on tour or if I was at home, I would have like horrendous insomnia where I wouldn't sleep for like weeks, and it got pretty weird. Like, I started to go semi-mental. And I think that was brought on by like stress and the pressure of kind of the point at which we were at as a band was so literally make or break. I think that kind of pressure started to stop me sleeping, because on a personal level, I was like, if I don't write a record that kind of changes everything, we're potentially done, because it's just impossible to keep on going.
Well, plus, like when we're off the road, me and Jim usually working, and all the band stuff then falls on you, really. So there is a lot of fucking shit for you to do, whether it's speaking to management, coordinating the release stuff, talking with the label, trying to come up with artwork, all that stuff. It is a lot that falls onto you.
It was just like the whole.
So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It was just it was particularly that pressure though of like. I was like, I've never written a record that's changed everything before. How the fuck am I going to do it now? I was like, why is anything going to be different now? Fuck.
That's the remit. Yeah, no. So we love what we've done so far. Just write a record that changes everything for everyone. Yeah, write a record
that changes everything. So I was kind of, in a pretty bad place mentally, like that, everything, all the years we put into the band. Oh my God, it's going to be for nothing. And like this isn't going to work. It was a pretty dark time. And anyway, that started to spiral, and I just kind of stopped sleeping. So I started to, like, on the road particularly, I started to sort of like habitually take melatonin and like hardcore sleeping pills and stuff like that. And then
I remember one of the happiest moments I've ever seen, or like kind of happiness mixed with relief, was when we were on that Royal Republic tour,
Yeah.
where we're sharing a bus with
yeah,
Royal Republic.
yeah,
And you, I think, had run out of sleeping pills,
yeah,
and you were having a fucking shit time. And you were like, well, I think we were up playing games and stuff, and you were, I need to go to my bunk and just try to sleep.
At that point, I remember that I hadn't slept for 4 days. We'd been playing shows every day, and I hadn't slept for 4 days at that point. It was awful. Like, I was so sad. It was brutal. Anyway, go on, continue. I remember this moment.
Yeah. And you went back to your bunk, and the next thing I knew, you came back through almost crying and smiling.
Yeah.
And holding these 2 sleeping pills, because Hannes, bless him, the guitarist from Royal Republic, had just slipped you a couple of sleeping pills.
Yeah, so
onto your pillow.
Yeah, Hannes also struggles with sleeping, and he didn't know that I was an insomniac and was having a real tough time with it. And I think someone told him, someone said that I wasn't sleeping, and he left me these 2 really heavy duty sleeping pills, and the relief of having those pills so I'd actually go to sleep, and also the relief of knowing someone also like understood what that was like, that, you know, was on the road with me. That was almost as valuable to me, just knowing someone sort of understood what it was like. Oh my God. I was like over the moon. I was like borderline crying because I was in such a mental weird ass place. Anyway,
I mean, it's hard to sleep on tour buses anyway, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess goes on to the whole Havana tour thing, which you're about to explain.
Yeah. So, and it's just like, once you can't sleep, then this whole mental game begins of like, you'll go to bed and you need to sleep, particularly on the roads, particularly as a vocalist. If you don't sleep, your voice is pretty much done. Like, if you don't get, like, not having enough sleep is the number one reason why your voice just won't be there the next day. So if you're screaming fucking Trainer 100 times and then not going to sleep, like, you're not going to have a voice the next day. So I started to really freak out about that, because I never want to let anyone down, you guys obviously included, as well as like the fans and stuff, and like have a shit show. So that whole pressure of like going to bed and being like, oh my God, you're not going to be able to sleep again. Well, as soon as you think that, you're fucked. So it's kind of like this horrible.
I think everybody's thinking it's a shit show if you just stood there screaming Trainer 100 times. Sounds like the worst show ever.
Anyway, so one of the things I started to do and I really started to do this on the Havana tour, was listen to some. I was like, shit, I need something to chill out. I don't know like what I can do to like relax my brain. And someone recommended the Harry Potter audiobooks that Stephen Fry narrates. So he is the fucking G.
I love that dude.
So every night when we'd go to bed eventually on the Havana tour, even though it was pretty savage, I would just plug into the Harry Potter audiobooks, and I literally listened to all of them all the way through. Like, how many are there? It's like 6, wasn't there? I don't know.
6 or 7.
Yeah, so I just listened to Stephen Fry all night, and sometimes obviously I couldn't sleep, so I'd literally listen to him all night, just like the whole night. I'd just lie there listening to Harry Potter stories. Pretty.
I'm surprised that the lyrics from the latest album haven't been more inspired,
more wizardy. You know, yeah.
Anything you've just subconsciously dropped. Yeah.
More wizardy.
I've always thought we could be a bit more wizard, you know.
There's always room for more wizard.
You're pretty wizard though, Jim, to be fair. You are quite wizardy.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm bringing the wizard. What are you guys bringing?
What the fuck am I bringing? I don't know. I want to. One thing I thought we should talk about was pre-show, kind of our sort of pre-show routine or rituals or whatever.
Now, this is something that has changed through the years.
Yeah.
And obviously it always involves drinking alcohol, and our choice of which has changed through the years as well. And I remember when Harry was in the band, Harry Johns was playing bass. We used to fucking love Jack Daniels. We always have Jack Daniels on the rider. I remember one show particularly in Chester.
Yeah. Oh my God, please, dude.
This weird venue called the Laugh Inn. But I remember like just it being a kind of normal build up to a show, just having a few drinks, and then maybe about I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes going on, I was like, you seem a bit extra kind of happy today, a bit extra kind of fucking around in the dressing room before the show. And I looked over at the bottle of whiskey, the whole fucking thing had gone, like a litre. Just between you and Harry. And I was like, cool. you don't, I mean, now a litre going before a show, you know, we're a bit more road hard, and this was still early days. So it was a bit like, okay, how's this going to fucking go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'd got into a little bit of a habit of just kind of drinking Jack Daniels, which seemed to just get more excessive pre-show every time until that show where it was like, holy shit, we've drunk half a litre each. Bad, really bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
each before a show. Like, in a few hours.
What was that doing to the show, man? No wonder we were shit. Fuck. Jesus Christ. You know?
Speak for yourself, bro.
Was that around the same time that you were getting up and singing, trying to start the same song, the same wrong song 4 times?
No, that was like 3-4 years later. But that's, you know, that's several years of whiskey abuse. But then, do you remember what happened in the show,
right,
Matt?
I want to put a precursor here. Because this is not, again, oh God, this podcast is just turning into just like terrible stories about us or me, which is not what I intended it to be. Precursor is, this is so unlike me, and I don't know, it was just a bad one. Are you going to go into it, or should I?
It was a bad one. I only remember the event. Do you remember what happened leading up to the event?
We were playing the show. It was a weird, awkward house vibe. It wasn't
busy. It wasn't busy.
It was just it was bad. And maybe my sort of insecurities then about weird shows, or my sort of awkwardness or whatever, like, you know, maybe that was messing with me a little bit. And I remember at one point...
Well, we'd gotten into the habit at this stage of, if it was quite a small show or there wasn't that many people, we were like, you and Harry started fucking going out into the crowd, which I think kind of promptly stopped shortly after that.
Yeah.
But you just in an attempt to sort of get the people there involved and give them a bit more of a show.
And they were kind of, at that point we were still, it was still kind of like more, it was just kind of punky. Like we just go into the crowd and play out there and shit, you know.
Punky is basically shit.
Yeah. It's a bit more shit. Yeah. So anyway, I went out into the crowd, which was vaguely thin anyway, and I was just kind of rocking it. And I went to the back, and we were giving it everything in the show, you know. And I went to the back, and there was this dude on the bar, and he was just sat there. I can't even remember if he was facing the stage or not. But he was just out of the bar.
I think he had his head in his hand or something.
Yeah, he was kind of just like...
So he looked quite uninterested.
He was very uninterested, just nursing a pint. And I think in an attempt to kind of stoke him up and involve him, I sort of like... this is so...
Dude.
Picturing it now makes me want to turn inside out.
I can't. I don't know this story.
Makes me want to turn inside out.
I'm loving this.
I sort of like grab the guy, but I want to say grab in the most. It wasn't aggressive, but I sort of like
Matt
no,
Bigland
grabbing
a
right.
punter.
What the fuck? I sort of grabbed this dude, and I sort of, in an attempt to kind of push him towards the crowd, and like into the vibe. That's what I did. I sort of grabbed him, sort of pushed him that direction. Okay. Little did I know, and I found this information out after the show, that this dude was on really, really heavy, I think they're antidepressants, I was told. And he'd drunk a shit ton of booze. So he was slumped on the bar because that's pretty much all he could do at that point. And I didn't know that.
Fucking hell, bro.
So when I grabbed him,
Matt.
he just kind of wasn't there. And when I pushed him towards the crowd, he just kind of...
His legs tried to sort of hold himself up, right? I remember like some sort of little bit of staggering. And
he went like a freaking ton of bricks, shoulder first, into a big iron kind of structural girder in the middle of the room. Oh, and he hit it so... He hit it like a ton of bricks.
Matt fucking totaled the dude.
Accidentally, of course. I was like, oh my holy fuck, what have I just done?
I can imagine in your pissed brain, like, oh fuck, I better finish the show. I'll check on you later.
Yeah, did you carry on?
Which is fucking terrible. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go back over there. Play a rack show.
You loving it now?
I did, however, catch up with him after the show, and it was everything was totally fine. But I just wish I'd known. Yeah, I just wish I'd known that he was not present. Pretty bad. So yeah, I think that's when that whole Jack Daniel phase kind of ended pretty abruptly. I think I used to because now I hardly drink at all. I think back then I was drinking so much because I still felt awkward about, like, it was sort of performance anxiety, I guess. It still felt awkward playing shows and like nervous.
Yeah, we were getting a lot of free advice from different people as well, whether it was our booking agent or manager being like, you need to engage the audience more, you need to do this, like looking at other bands, like, oh, you need to do more stuff like this. And it was way out of your comfort zone, and it wasn't something that you wanted to do, so you would just address that by having a few extra drinks and a bit of extra Dutch courage, which over the years we have fallen into and out of. We've managed it pretty well on the whole. I think one of the weirder times when our drinking was, I mean, not that it's ever an issue, but when it became an issue, was in Japan.
But it didn't. I mean, it didn't become an issue because we were hitting it too hard. It became that was a kind of cultural. Yeah,
no.
That was a cultural.
Not at all. It was definitely a cultural thing.
So that's a good one to bring up. So obviously, so in Japan, which we've been lucky enough to tour a bunch of times now. It's kind of just a cultural thing where they don't drink at all before the show. Like, I guess because the show is still seen as work, as a job to do. So nobody, artists included, nobody drinks pre-show. Whereas obviously kind of in the UK culture, like you
and everywhere else,
do
probably,
drink pre-show. You kind of have a couple of drinks, get vibed and go and kick ass. But we, so I think we were like, our team out in Japan, who are all freaking legends and absolutely amazing, who we love dearly, they're like, do you need anything pre-show? And we were like, can we get a couple of beers?
Because this was Summer Sonic, right? And we turned up, we were on quite early. We turned up and we got to the fucking room and there was like no beers. We're like, come on. Yeah. Japan is one of the best places in the world for so many reasons. And one of them is that they are so accommodating, so welcoming. Everything else on the rider was fucking amazing. And the way we got looked after, where we got taken to the venue. And when you're there, everybody, like, so much respect from everybody. And we go to the dressing room, everything's laid out. And we're like, this is great, but where the fuck is the beers?
Yeah.
We can't do this
Yeah.
without the beers.
Okay, and
Yes.
I'm just trying to remember, right? Because this is a separate story that I want to get into right now as well, but I want you to finish first. But is this the same time that Tack thought Jim was too drunk because Jim hadn't slept? Is this the same? Was that the same time?
Oh, that was Summer
I can't remember
Sonic.
if it was the first or
Yeah,
second time.
that was. I mean, they were.
Just real quick,
I
so
can't
we
remember
don't
which one
forget
it
that one.
was.
There's this one
But,
time where we flew into Japan to play Summer Sonic Festival, and just as we're going to bed, we get in, and I think we were in Osaka. We were doing Osaka first or something, and we got in, and obviously the timing of when you get into Japan from the UK, it's totally fucked. Like, it's flipped on its head, so it's terrible timing. Like, your jet lag is unreal. But the way it played out is we got there, and it meant we could kind of go to bed pre-show. So we were like, okay, we're going to be pretty good because we want to crush it tomorrow. I think we went to bed. But just as we were going to bed, Jim's like, I've got a splitting headache, so I'm going to take these painkillers to get rid of this headache so I can go to sleep properly. Little did Jim know that those painkillers had like loads of caffeine in them. So we get up in the morning,
That's the fucking worst. I was going to bosh probably 3 of these because I've got a real bad headache. And then the reason the packet afterwards, you're like, oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, you got back. The reason I was taking them in the first place was because the team had taken us out to that gyoza ramen place.
Oh, the gyoza place.
Not the piggy one. Yeah, that like other legit one. I can't remember the name.
The one
of
that
it.
we absolutely loved and was amazing until we found
we went
loads
there
of
every
mouse
time.
traps under the seat. One.
Oishu Ramen. Oishu Ramen.
Shit.
That's the one we always went to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
so it was Tokyo.
That's the one.
Tokyo.
Yeah. They took us there, and they kept getting us more beers. And I've got a photo of you two, which I'll share with everyone, where you look so crushed.
Cool. Thanks
like
for that,
the
Jim.
most crushed I've ever seen.
I'm glad you put that one out there.
Yeah, it's out there already. I'll bring that one back up. So I went to bed, and I was worried about, because we had to get up at like 7 a.m. or something to get to the festival site, and I was really worried that I was going to be too like hungover, or just a combination of hungover and or jet lag. So I took that Alka-Seltzer like hangover cure before bed, which is half caffeine.
Yeah. So we get up in the morning.
So I went to bed.
We get up in the morning, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I feel good, man. Like, ready for this." Jim comes out of his room. He's like, he looked fucking terrible. It was like, "Oh shit, dude, what's up?" And you were like, "I literally haven't been to sleep." So I remember rolling up to that. I remember in the backstage.
Oh, I remember
of that festival. And because we always, would get the guys to get beers and stuff, which they were always just like maybe a bit disapproving of, because they thought it meant that we were just going to be, a shit live show or like idiots or whatever, which we never were.
But also as well because the team out in Japan, we've got a Japanese team, really luckily and completely randomly. I'm not really sure how that happened. It was something to do with right? But they look after a load of they're just predominantly for Japanese artists, so they probably have this whole sort of way of working that none of their Japanese artists probably drink before shows. So they were of the opinion that maybe nobody else did it, or that we shouldn't. But we're like, we need to. Do you want a good show or not?
Yeah. And I remember, like, because of that, and then mixed with Jim not having slept, Jim was kind of like a bit, out of it because he literally hadn't been to bed.
Yeah.
But Tak, one of the guys on our team, was just looking at Jim being like, "Oh my God, he's so drunk." And it was like, no. He kept on saying,
too drunk.
But it was just because you just literally hadn't been to bed.
Yeah, I remember coming off stage. Yeah, I remember coming off stage, and I was like, "Oh, just someone just say it was good. That's all I need. That's all I need right now." And Tak literally said that you two were good and that I was bad because I was too drunk, and that was it.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, bro. Oh, fucking hell. Thanks, mate. All right, off to bed.
Our team there are brutally
savage
honest,
levels.
aren't
Yeah.
Yeah, brutally.
Like they'll just call you tired, or like if you put on a bit of weight next time you see them, they're like, "Oh, you got fat." Like shit.
Yeah. No legends.
Love you too, guys.
Yeah. I remember. Oh, you remember that time when we were in Japan, and the guys took us to a karaoke to go and do like legit Japanese karaoke up in that skyrise building.
Yeah.
Was it in like up in like tower block place?
Classic us. I mean, mate, you know, no smoke without fire, I guess. We got absolutely fucking leathered. And
well, they're amazing because they allow it. They encourage it. If anything, like as soon as you finish a beer, they ask you straight away, "Do you want another beer?" Because they're just the best hosts, and they don't want to see like an empty plate or an empty glass. They're like, "You need more food. You need more beer." And us being British, our culture kind of works where you can't say no to anything.
In fact,
so just always
yeah.
Oh yeah, I need my 18th beer. Yeah.
That exact cultural difference actually boned us a little in that. Do you remember in that restaurant? And it was that restaurant where they serve small plates. No, the small plates
Shabu
over
shabu.
and over. It starts with a K.
Oh, no.
Jim, can you remember that? On skewers, and it's over and over and over.
Like the skewers of stuff.
So in this restaurant, they serve small plates, many, many dishes over and over and over. And our team took us to this restaurant on a press day or whatever in Tokyo. And obviously in the Japanese culture, like in the English culture, we'll always eat everything on our plate because that's how you show it's a good meal. And you'll always finish your plate. Whereas in Japanese culture, you finish your meal when you don't finish your plate because it's like, I've eaten enough and I'm full. So there's something left on my plate because now I'm eating. So this like clash of cultures, they're always providing and we're always finishing everything. Like we were there for hours because obviously we didn't want to be rude. We didn't want to be rude and say no. So we were there just like every plate they bring out, we'd like, okay, cool. Smash that, and then they like bring out another one. Be, oh my god, holy fuck, lads, I'm going to be sick.
Okay, cool. Smash that. They're all looking at each other like they keep eating.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I guess bring out more. We're like, they keep bringing us food.
Please
I guess we have to finish it.
So we're like, oh my god, it's so funny.
I remember one of the aftermaths from a big session in Japan. It may have even been after the karaoke, I'm not even sure. But when we had a full day of radio press. And
oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I think we were drinking like shoju, which is like this potato-based spirit the night before, loads of sake, loads of the beers in Japan, I have to say, and I know you guys agree, are some of the most delicious beers in the world. And it's something to do with the way they pour it, because even if it's a fucking Carlsberg, it's the creamiest.
I was going to say, I remember that
Carlsberg you will ever have.
Yep.
There's just something about it. Anyway, they're fucking delicious. So, and they all serve them in small glasses as well, so it's actually kind of hard to keep track of exactly how much you drank. Anyway, completely overdid it. That mixed with the jet lag, and having a full day of press, so we were up early. It might as well have been fucking 4 a.m. I can't remember, but I just remember being the most hungover, without a doubt, I have ever been in my entire life, to the point where we get taken to our management's office where we're all sort of make a base from, and then we leave to go and do the radio. And I was laying on my back on the couch with like my arm over my head. I couldn't even like muster up any kind of fucking manners. I didn't really say hello to anybody, and like shaking hands the way through. I remember just kind of like grunting at people. Went and laid down. And then I think our first interview was with the like biggest.
I don't think it was our first one. I think it was that was like a little bit later in the day. But that was the pinnacle. Yeah, and we were up.
How was it?
We're up in this enormous skyrise tower, which is their like main media radio tower, whatever. And we were on like the 40th floor, looking out across this incredible view, like of Tokyo and stuff. And we go into this corner office, which is the live studio of one of the biggest DJs out there, like a really big deal. Like it was a big deal. It was a big like opportunity for us to have that slot, live radio. He's stoked to talk to us, and I walk in, and Mike walks in, and this is a live interview with this big ass dude. It's live on air. And we're chatting away, and I noticed like I'm okay. Maybe I didn't maybe overdo it as much as Mikey, so I was kind of handling things okay. And I noticed that Mikey is kind of dead silent. I'm like, oh, okay.
I was sat there, dude. I remember this vividly, and I was just, cold sweats, and suddenly I just felt this lurch in my stomach, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I cannot be sick live on air in one of the biggest like DJs in Tokyo. So I remember like my eyes darted over at you, Matt, who I think you were already looking at me like, dude, like, are you okay?
What the fuck is happening?
Kind of used to how we handle press and stuff. So usually I'm chatting and then I'll bounce off Mike and Mike will bounce off me. But I'm looking at Mike and he is just like a stone, like no emotion, no words, completely silent. I'm like, something is definitely wrong there. Like, Mikey's broken. And then all of a sudden, live on air, talking to this dude, like, I can't describe how much of a kind of like faux pas it was, because like we're respectful, he's very respectful, he's a big deal, we're grateful to be there. All of a sudden, Mikey just stands up in this live interview and just walks out, just like on air. And all of our team, all of our label team, press team, are staring through this big double glass window, staring at what's happening inside this room. Mouths on the floor, like
mouths on the floor.
What the
like,
fuck
what
is Mike doing?
Fuck
Mike
is happening?
Just leaves out of the room, and then I'm just left on this interview with this dude, being like, "Okay, hey, it's classic Mikey. Oh, that's just a thing he does. He'll be back." Mikey.
I remember going from the from that radio interview to do that massive. Remember, we had to do that massive photo shoot, and it was like us and then 6 other Japanese bands.
That was
like
one of the weirdest things.
Big up and comers and stuff. And if you look at that photograph, it's like, I don't know, 25 young, cool-looking Japanese guys and girls, and then 3 grey English dudes wearing Hawaiians.
It's the weirdest.
So strange, man. And I had like, that's when I was like really pasty, and I had like bleached blonde hair that was cut really short, and they were all
yeah.
And then Mike in the back row, and he's just grey and slightly moist looking.
I thought I looked good in that. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you did. Speaking of you leaving interviews, like halfway through,
I knew you were going to bring this
and
one
to bring
up.
it up again because we need to have an episode based on the times Mikey's died. But the time, the Metallica time. Remember, we were doing that interview. I think might have been live as well. And Mike tried to get a sentence out twice.
It was with Lou Brutus
really
as
big.
well. Like another big.
You just pick the big ones. If we have a real big piece of press, the Mike's like, all right, cool. Heat this one up.
Yep.
Coming in hot.
I'm gonna
get fucking hammered.
The thing is about that interview as well, I remember you guys were just handling business, and I was like, I'm pretty pissed. I was like, please, for the love of God, do not ask me a question, because if you ask me that, I'm fucking done for. And then shortly after that thought happened, he literally leaned over and was like, so what about you, Mike? And I remember trying to get a couple of words out, and they were really slurred, and I was like, I can't even form the sentence that I want to make. That's how fucking pissed I was. So I was like, I think I'm going to let Jim take this one.
You like mumbled something. You mumbled something at him, and then Lou Brutus is looking with his hawkish eyes just at Mike, being like, what the fuck are you saying, kid?
You know when you're when you're trying to say a sentence. You're trying to say a sentence, but you don't know what you're talking about or what the sentence is even supposed to be about. So you say a bunch of like non sequitur, like just sort of filler words. And none of it doesn't really make sense. And then I realised what I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, I can't get out of this. I'm just gonna have to hand it over to Jim." And I was like, "I'm too pissed."
You fucking not checking your intake pre-press. Amazing, man.
Yeah, that was a particularly bad day. There's only been a couple occasions where I've let it get
separate episode, I'm sure, but that was the day that you later died and then came back to life. So it's understandable that that was the way it was headed.
Yeah.
Should have seen those signs. It's 4 p.m. and Mike can't talk, but that's okay.
Maybe somebody get that drink out of his hand. Oh, he's getting another. Okay.
Yep, he's got a drink in both hands.
He's left the interview to go get more. Great.
That was the as well. I just remembered the South by from earlier. That was the one that I crushed my front tooth.
Yeah. I was going to say,
because you guys spent the afternoon in the hotel room while I had to go and get it emergency fixed.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we just me and Matt we got in the king bed, didn't we?
Real quick, let's get this in before. Yep. I mean, I'm physically melting, so I've got to get off the line pretty soon. But real quick, let's just drop that tooth story. 'Cause it's good.
Yeah.
So way back to the start of the episode where we flew from wherever the hell we were to Texas to play South by before going back to meet Ollie. We fly in, and it's like we're going to make the show once we've landed and got our rental gear and got to the venue in Austin and stuff. We're going to make this show by the skin of our teeth. Like literally, we have minutes to get ready. So we're coming in from the back of the street by the skin of my teeth. And we're coming in from the street, the heat in the outside in the street, and we come into the back of the venue. We're throwing gear on. So, like literally throwing gear onto the stage to try and get set up in time to make our slot. And like we've thrown on the amps, we've thrown on the kit. Mike sat on his stool just trying to like get his kit ready frantically. And there was one point where I'm stood over Mike. I think I just passed you some hardware or something. And Mike's got his snare drum and he's frantically trying to push this snare drum.
Dude, I'm leaning over my snare. Right, I've got the snare in the holder, but I need to raise the snare, and the thing was so fucking rigid. I was trying my hardest to loosen it, and I was like, right, I'm just gonna have to fucking yank it up until it comes. Leaning over my snare, like desperately sweating, like everything's fucking wet because it's fucking Austin, it's boiling hot, and I'm leaned over the snare, and I yank it, and it comes loose straight into my fucking front tooth.
I'm stood over him watching this happen.
Dude, this is
like
horrible.
Mike's strong dude. He yanks that snare so hard and it just goes straight into his tooth, and I hear this noise, unforgettable noise of like this crunching sounds. Oh my god.
Dude, I remember the impact. So vividly. And I remember just covering my mouth and looking at you.
It was like two kids. You know when a kid falls over and hurts their knee and they look at you to see how bad it is.
And
if you laugh, they're probably like, okay, oh, it's cool. If you're like, oh, holy fuck. And obviously, with the kind of stressful situation and lack of sleep and everything, I probably did not hide my reaction particularly well.
Mikey, mate, you fucking scared the shit out of me.
He's staring at me wide-eyed. His hand is over his tooth. And he takes his hand away from his front teeth. And Mike's tooth, I don't even know what it looked like. It was just shattered like a window.
It like turned into like crunched powder right at the front. And it I can't tell you how much it killed because it went right up into where the nerve is. It fucking killed. And I remember looking at you being like,
is it bad?
Bro,
is it
bad?
It's definitely not good.
Is it bad? And you were like, yep. And then you were like, dude, we don't have to play the show. And I was like, fucking hell, man. We've flown all the way here from God knows wherever we were just to fucking do the show. We've made it by the skin of my teeth and half of it. We're going to fucking do it. So I closed my mouth because every time I breathed in through my mouth, the air passing
I
the
don't
nerve
understand how you
just
play that
fucking
show,
killed.
man. That's maybe the most respect I've ever had for someone playing a show. That is ridiculous to just be like, yeah. I mean,
Thanks,
I don't
man.
think I would have been able to do that, bro. And when you were like, no, we're fucking doing it, I was like,
outrageous.
Whoa. Road dog. Road dog status level 100. Like, unbelievable. And we played it and you fucking crushed it. Absolutely nailed it.
We smashed it, and then I got rushed immediately to have some emergency dental work. Luckily, it was like on the insurance.
Yeah.
You know, so every cloud.
Otherwise,
swings and roundabouts.
Got a brand new tooth. And then we got back to fucking Burlington, Vermont. Like, dude, you won't believe how hectic it's been. And Ollie stood there, like, not even saying a word.
I nearly died.
He's like, you have no fucking idea what I've been through. Literally,
that couple of days. Literally, that couple of days. If you think about it, how many things happened? We flew to Austin. You literally vaporized your tooth. Ollie nearly died, sent his mum his coordinates in case he did die on top of the mountaintop. Then when we all get back together again in Burlington, we meet a murderer that wanted to, you know, eat us or whatever. Like, it's pretty fucking gnarly. Yeah.
Right, let's wrap this one up for today.
Yeah, mate, I'm
sweating.
Yeah. This
I think I might
thing
be
is so bad.
dangerously
Anyway,
dehydrated.
hope everyone enjoyed that. Shoot us things you want to hear about, and we'll chat about them. And stay safe, stay cool. All right, later. Later.
Stay cool. Bye.
See you.